Isn't it odd? Isn't it strange? Isn't it weird that Salvaggio was targeted by the police for that post-it? Oh my God, it's so weird. It's so strange. No one can understand it. Oh my God. There's Occam's razor. The simplest explanation is going to be the most likely one. But in this case, we have the Texas Court of Appeals has weighed in on this. The facts are undisputed and set forth in detail in the hearing examiner's written decision and award. On January 22nd, 2010, Salvaggio, a lieutenant with the San Antonio Police Department, took an examination to qualify for promotion to the rank of captain. The exam had a 2-hour morning session consisting of a written exam and a 2-hour afternoon session consisting of a scenario-based exam. The examination was proctored by 2 city employees. Before the morning session began, a proctor placed 3-inch square post-it notes with numbers written on them on the tables in the testing room. The numbers on the post-it notes corresponded to the numbers assigned to the candidates taking the test. This was the first time post-it notes were used to designate assigned seats. Before the test began, a proctor read instructions regarding the examination. One of the instructions was that if a candidate needed a restroom or water break during the exam, he was to cover his answer sheet, leave all the test materials on the table, and a proctor would escort him out. No description or definition of test materials was given, and no instructions were given regarding scribbling notes on the numbered post-it notes. The candidates were instructed that they could write in their test booklets, but were told not to make extraneous marks on the answer sheet, which could cause the answer sheet to be misread. Between the morning and afternoon exam sessions, the candidates were permitted to use any study materials to prepare for the second part of the test. Moreover, in past promotional exams, the proctors allowed the candidates to use scratch paper during the examination and did not collect the scratch paper at the end of the exam. During the morning exam session, Salvaggio used the post-it note as scratch paper, writing down notes about topics he wanted to review during the midday break. Salvaggio later requested permission to leave the exam room to go to the restroom. The proctor told him to wait because another candidate had just gone to the restroom. When the proctor returned to tap Salvaggio on the shoulder to indicate it was his turn for the restroom, she noticed something in his hand. When Salvaggio stood up, he still had the object in his hand, and the proctor asked him what it was. Salvaggio handed it to her. The proctor saw it was the post-it note with some writing on it. She told Salvaggio he could not take the post-it note out of the exam room, and she retained the note. Salvaggio went to the restroom and returned to the exam room. He made no changes to his morning session answers before turning them in. The proctor reported the incident to a captain who was on site working on the second phase of the exam, and the captain reported it to an assistant police chief who was also present. The 2 officers questioned the proctors about the instructions about what instructions were given regarding removing test materials from the exam room, and learned that no definition of test material was given to the candidates. Several months later, some incidents involving several candidates taking test booklets out of a detective promotional examination were reported to the media. During an investigation of these incidents by SAPD Internal Affairs, the post-it note incident with Salvaggio was mentioned, and a separate investigation was opened. Salvaggio was notified of the Internal Affairs investigation in May 2010. On July 16th of 2010, Salvaggio received a letter notifying him that he was charged with violating Civil Service Rule 12, violation of an applicable fire or police department rule or special order, Texas Local Government Code Annotated 143.051, subsection 12. The department rule allegedly violated by Salvaggio was identified as SAPD Rule 3.04. See, it is amazing to me that a community of journalists who gather content for stories can't gather enough content to figure out why all of a sudden this was a huge incident for the city of San Antonio. We have to speculate. No, we can't actually look it up. We have to speculate and just assume that something is terribly, horribly wrong with Salvaggio. Because we're independent journalists gathering content for stories. Congratulations, people. Right there, black and white. Several months later, just like I said in the car, well, I thought it was a sergeant's exam, but it was a detective's exam. Some incidents involving several candidates taking test booklets out of a detective promotional examination were reported to the media. So the media hears about it. The SAPD wants to make sure their noses are squeaky clean. So they're like, wait, does anybody know anything else bad that we don't want the media finding out about this and making us seem like we're even worse than we are? Everybody quick, tell us all the bad things. Oh, this guy took a Post-it note out? Screw it, let's do it. Not realizing, because there are a lot of stupid people out there, not realizing that it would get to the media and it would cause a problem, because Salvaggio apparently wasn't a bitch and he didn't roll over and take it. Salvaggio is probably the kind of guy that I would rather have in the Fort Huachuca, whatever, however you say it, rather than Freeman. Because not only did Salvaggio not take the easy way out, because you'll see down in here that he could have taken a temporary suspension and been right back in with the boys in blue. Not only did he not do that, he pushed it all the way up through a Court of Appeals. So to continue on, Rule 3.04, responsibility to serve the public. Members shall serve the public through direction, counseling, assistance, and protection of life and property. Members shall also respect the rights of individuals and perform their services with honesty, sincerity, courage, and sound judgment. So honesty, that's what they're going to try to pin on them. Conduct and behavior. Members, whether on duty or off duty, shall be governed by the ordinary and reasonable rules of good conduct and behavior, and shall not commit any act tending to bring reproach or discredit to themselves or the department. Oh, look, that looks bad. As to the specific factual basis for the disciplinary suspension, the letter stated that on January 22nd, 2010, during the administration of the police captain's promotional examination, Lieutenant Joseph Salvaggio attempted to remove test material from the testing room. SAPD Chief William McAnus has a Chiefs Advisory Action Board that is comprised of 2 advisory boards, a Citizen Advisory Action Board whose members are community citizens appointed by the City Council, and a Police Advisory Action Board whose members are police officers appointed by the Chief of Police. Place your bets. Place your bets. Are they going to back the blue? Is it going to be the Community Citizens Board who's going to throw Salvaggio under the bus, or is it going to be the boys in blue throw him under the bus? Take your bets. Take your bets. We're just smashing all these asinine ideas going around, so this is your opportunity. The investigative report prepared by Internal Affairs was submitted to both advisory action boards for review and recommendation. After the Citizen Advisory Board reviewed the Internal Affairs report and heard Salvaggio's testimony, it recommended the charge be dismissed as unfounded. What? The citizens, just like the citizens convicted Bao and gave him the maximum sentence, the citizens found Salvaggio innocent. They wanted the charge dismissed as unfounded. The Police Advisory Board took several votes before reaching a consensus and recommending that Salvaggio be suspended for 30 days. I guess sometimes the police investigate themselves and don't find they did something wrong. But 10 seconds after me saying that, you have already forgotten that, haven't you? Only remember the things that back your little worldview. Never remember the things that are contra to it. Chief McAnus then reviewed the Internal Affairs investigative report, the advisory board's recommendations, and met with his command staff and with Salvaggio. At the conclusion of his review, Chief McAnus concluded that Salvaggio's conduct with respect to the Post-it note violated SAPD Rule 3.04C and thereby violated Civil Service Rule 12. Chief McAnus made the decision to indefinitely suspend Salvaggio. An indefinite suspension is equivalent to dismissal from the department for taking a Post-it note out. See Texas Local Government Code annotated 143.052B, authorizing the head of a police department to suspend a police officer for a violation of a civil service rule for a period not to exceed 15 days or for an indefinite period, which is equivalent to dismissal. Salvaggio rejected an offer to voluntarily accept a temporary suspension because his honor was apparently worth more to him than money, which, you know, to me, that smacks of integrity. But I guess he's just a terrible person because he took a Post-it note out of a test. and elected to appeal. It just says a lot about a person when the worst thing you got on them is they took a Post-it note out of a test. You know, it's not like you raped somebody at gunpoint or anything like that. No. No, that you guys can forgive. But God help you. God help you if you take a Post-it note out of a chief's exam or a captain's exam. Do you realize how retarded you guys sound? To normal people, you sound retarded. And elected to, citation needed. Yeah, well, okay, you got me there. I have no citation. To me, you sound retarded when you go on about stuff like this. And elected to appeals indefinite suspension to an independent third-party hearing examiner instead of to the Civil Service Commission. In ruling on an appeal, a hearing examiner has the same powers and duties as the Civil Service Commission, except the power to make rules, etc., etc., etc. It states that in an appeal, the department head is restricted to the original written statement of charges, which may not be amended. In its decision resolving the appeal, the commission is required to determine whether the suspended officer should be, number 1, permanently dismissed, number 2, temporarily suspended, or number 3, restored to his or her former position in the department. The commission is authorized to suspend or dismiss a police officer only for violation of a civil service rule and only after a finding by the commission of the truth of the specific charges against the officer. At a hearing on December 7th and 8th of 2010, the hearing examiner was presented with testimony, evidence, and argument from both sides. In addition, post-hearing briefs were submitted by both sides. On March 9th, 2011, the hearing examiner rendered a decision and awarded in favor of Salvaggio, concluding the charge against him was not true because the city had failed to establish that he had violated any rule. Having found there was no just cause to sustain the disciplinary action, the hearing examiner overturned Salvaggio's suspension and restored him to his former position with full back pay. In a lengthy written decision, the hearing examiner found that, number 1, it is undisputed that the term test materials was never defined by the commission or the test proctors. Number 2, the closest thing to a definition of test materials was in the 6th bullet paragraph of the instructions for promotional examinations, which states in relevant part, if you finish before time is called, please bring your test booklet, answer sheet, and pencils to the front or back and give them to the individual at the collection table. Witness testimony regarding what were test materials was presented by both sides, with the city's witnesses saying they believed the Post-it notes were test materials and the police union's witnesses stating they did not. The Post-it notes that were used in the testing room to designate where the candidates were to sit and were thrown in the trash after the testing was complete, i.e., the Post-it notes were not treated similarly to the test booklet, answer sheet, and pencils. The Commission has the sole authority to establish rules and regulations pertaining to promotion of police personnel, and the Commission Director and municipal employees working under the Director have the responsibility of maintaining the fairness of the promotional exam. Therefore, the Commission is the sole authority to determine what constitutes test material, i.e. not Chief McAnus. Neither the municipal employees acting as proctors for the examination nor the sergeant charged with conducting the internal affairs investigation solicited the Commission's determination of whether the Post-it note and its use in the testing area caused it to become test material. Chief McAnus determined the Post-it note was test material, concluded that Salvaggio attempted to take it out of the test area, and thus found that Salvaggio had violated the rule against taking test materials outside. Since test material was undefined by the Commission, Chief McAnus did not have the authority to define test materials to include the Post-it note. By interpreting the rule against taking test material outside of the test area, Chief McAnus engaged in the creation of a new rule which he had no authority to do. And number 10, a definitive determination on whether it was a rule violation for Salvaggio to attempt to take the Post-it note out of the test area has not and was not made before the Chief disciplined Lieutenant Salvaggio. Based on these specific findings, the hearing examiner stated his conclusion as follows. Regarding matters of discipline, the CBA requires the employer established by a preponderance of the evidence that the alleged misconduct occurred. Here, the allegation against Salvaggio is that he violated a rule by attempting to remove test material out of the testing room. Because of the wording of the allegation, it was essential for the city to establish that the Post-it note and its use was test material. Based on the above findings, there exists no definition for test material that the Chief has no authority to find a commission violation where the commission has made no ruling that the post-it note was test material. The arbitrator concludes the city cannot meet the preponderance of the evidence test. Thus, the charge against Salvaggio cannot be found to be true. The hearing examiner's written decision also contained additional findings addressing the investigative report's underlying inference that Lieutenant Salvaggio engaged in an act of cheating or attempted cheating. The hearing examiner found the record did not contain any evidence that Salvaggio engaged in any conduct that constitutes cheating or an attempt to cheat. The city filed an appeal. They lost the appeal, so they appealed it to a district court. They lost the appeal to the district court. Then they appealed again to the Court of Appeals. This is the Court of Appeals of Texas, San Antonio. And the Court of Appeals says, viewing the summary judgment record in the light most favorable to the city's arguments that the hearing examiner exceeded his jurisdiction are not supported by the facts of the law. Therefore, Salvaggio was entitled to summary judgment as a matter of law, and the trial court did not err in denying the city's summary judgment motion. Accordingly, we affirm the trial court's judgment. So there you go. You can argue all you want that taking a post-it note out is some sort of nefarious thing. You can argue all you want that we just don't know why they started this investigation on Salvaggio or were witch hunting. You can claim that all you want. The facts are here. It has been adjudicated. It has been done to death. It has made it all the way up to a Texas Court of Appeals. It is done and dusted. You can fantasize all you want that Salvaggio's Hitler. It doesn't bear up to scrutiny. In the Discord, I have posted the docs. There is a link right there. It's Salvaggio's resume. His resume is, let's see. Let's see if I have it. I have it in downloads, and there you go. So if you don't want to look it up, his resume has all of his Air Force stuff all the way back. It's just like this, all the way down. Exceptional, immediate promotion. This was from 2001, but like it gets even more disgustingly sycophantic. And see, it is a freaking general. I wasn't kidding about that. Clearly exceeds. Develop system to source and track stuff and things. He did stuff and things. Clearly exceeds. Visionary with an exclamation mark. I mean, this is when I said look, the truth is the truth. This was from 2012. The truth is the truth. The truth is that the Air Force loved him. The Army loved him. I don't know how that works. Here's an Air Force Achievement Medal for meritorious service. Here is the United States Army Training Center Certificate of Achievement. Department of the Army Achievement Medal. I don't know how you get this stuff for multiple services, but whatever. Here's a nomination for an award for the Pitsenbarger Award. I don't know what that is, but I'm sure it's very lovely. He got a Meritorious Service Medal from the United States of America for meritorious service. I don't know what that means, but I'll bet it looks pretty on his uniform. He got another Meritorious Service Medal. This is the citation to accompany the award of the Meritorious Service Medal. This is a Meritorious Service Medal again. And this is another citation to accompany it. This is a Legion of Merit. I don't know what that is, but I'm sure it's awesome. So yeah, like he has a long career. He got his first little 92 is his first little Meritorious Service Award for meritorious service from 89 to 92. It racks, it stacks, and it lasts all the way up till when he's out of the Air Force. It racks and stacks all the way up till he's out of the Air Force. 2012, is that it? 2014. 2014 is when it ends. I mean, it's all truly the best. Everything's amazing. This guy is, they love him. Certificates of stuff. George Bush. W. San Antonio Police Department. Life-saving medal. Distinguished Service Award. Yeah, the San Antonio Police Department hated this guy. They must have hated him. FBI, some sort of a training thing. He completed a general course of instruction. Yeah, so you guys can keep all your little conspiracy theories. The truth is out there. It's literal. It's real. It's like literally I have provided it for you so you can be investigative journalists gathering content for a story. And thanks for watching. Have a great day.